What's up, everyone? Welcome to Cyber Therapy. If you are new here, I am the host, Ashley Lee, Senior Marketing Manager at Jupiter One. And today, co-hosting with me is Jasmine Henry. Want to say hello?
I'm Jasmine Henry. I am a mediocre replacement for Tyler Shields, who sang the intro song. Fun fact.
Yes.
That
We'll
is
have him
that is
perform it
Tyler's
sometime.
vocals. I cannot wait. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so glad and excited for what we have planned today. If you're new around here, feel free to follow us on LinkedIn, hit subscribe, smash that button so that you get notified for the next time that we are live. Because we usually live stream new things. We plan ahead, but we don't really pre-record, cut it up, and all this. So you are getting full-on candid Ashley and Jasmine today, and our wonderful guest. So we've got some big news. And if you haven't seen the video already that I posted on LinkedIn, dun da da da, we have published a new book called Reinventing Cybersecurity. And this is Jasmine's brainchild and lovable bundle of joy in this book. So, Jasmine, you care to shed some light? How did this come to be?
Sure. Well, Jupiter One published a similar compendium of stories by cybersecurity practitioners back in, I think it was late October of last year. And I really like the format. I think a lot of times in our field, books can feel like you're studying for a cert. However, the format, which is multiple authors, kind of a narrative element, is really entertaining and engaging. So I knew that when I came to work for Jupiter One slightly after that, that I wanted to do another one of these projects. My initial vision was pretty narrow, and I'm glad that the idea was expanded upon. I initially had this idea of, all women and non-binary authors, but it's only going to be a book about security. We're not talking about gender. And what ended up happening was much, much better, I think. I think the best words I have to describe it is that it's a security book. It's a security guidebook that talks about security challenges, but the way that these stories are told is through an intersectional lens that addresses the fact that gender and identity can be one part of the kind of set of experiences that make us who we are, along with education and experience.
Yeah, so this book, it's broken out into 3 different sections. It's reinventing who we are, reinventing how we do things, and reinventing our future. And so if you are looking for inspirational stories on how to reach the CISO level, or how to break into security, or just how to combat bias on any sense in the workplace, this is a great source for you to just take inspiration from these authors. So get your copy. It is available now on Amazon. And I was so excited to share this earlier and I completely forgot. Here is the link, bit.ly, reinventing cyber. Go ahead and go there, download your ebook version if you like, or go onto Amazon, buy a copy, leave a review, and would love to hear what you all are thinking about it as you get your hands on the book. So with that, today we've got an awesome guest who is talking about one of those topics that I have always thought about and have struggled with myself. And so, Angela Marafino, I'm so sorry for butchering your name, but here is Angela. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you both?
Good to
Wonderful. Yeah, good to see you. Would you?
Don't worry.
What's that?
It's been pronounced worse, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know that I'm higher up in the. I feel like that's a low bar. I'm sorry.
Really good.
Do you want to give the audience a little bit of your background before we dig
Absolutely.
into just the meat of everything that we're going to talk about today?
Absolutely. So, hi, I'm Angela. I am based out of Seattle. I am currently a customer product manager at Microsoft. So, actually, tomorrow is my 2-year anniversary. I've been working in cybersecurity for about 4 years now. It's about my 3rd career path. So, still somewhat entry level, I would say, but quickly hit the ground running and have been in cybersecurity ever since I entered. So
Love it. How did you segue into cybersecurity? Since you're saying that's your third career, so
yeah.
what were your other two careers, if you don't mind my
Wow.
asking?
Yeah, so the first one was more of a series of jobs. I wouldn't call them careers, but yeah, I went to school for art the first time. So design related jobs, worked in graphic design, and somehow transitioned into law. Ended up working at a law firm by someone asking me if I was good with computers. And I was like, is that all you need? Yeah, yeah, need a job. And ended up going back for a pre law bachelor's degree, knowing that my undergrad, right, core classes were all the same. So I was quickly able to earn that second bachelor's and had a plan to go to law school, and really wanted to do digital law office technology. And after a long, hard thought and conversations with my dad, hey, dad, about how much it costs to go to law school, I was like, I don't really think that I should do that. I didn't necessarily want to be a lawyer. I just wanted to, right, help people with technology in that specific way, and ended up sort of looking down the path of, okay, how do I get into tech and what does that look like for me? So,
Nice. So what drew you to cybersecurity? Out
um,
of all the different pieces of tech, right? Like there's a
yeah,
lot of different like roles within technology and tech companies. So I'm curious, why cybersecurity?
I was in the middle of a move. So I moved across the country, and like during the week of the move, I was on a plane, read in the like in-flight magazine an article about cybersecurity, and it just took that one article for me to say, "Wow, that's it. This is it," which is pretty impressive. I wish I could go back and find what it was because it was such a good article, but I don't even know how to do that. But it basically said, here's the traits that are good for people who are my work in cybersecurity," and I was like, me, good with puzzles, always wanting to learn, and never wanting to be bored, and all of these things that I had kind of been looking for in a role, because I always found myself getting bored. I was like, I can't see myself doing this forever. And then kind of statistically, right, how many people did and were going to need cybersecurity professionals from now until the future forever. I was like, even if I end up not liking it, this still makes sense, given how many jobs are available now and will be opening up. So yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten anything except for feelings of insufficiency from an in-flight magazine. Like I look at all the like there's fountains and I'm like, oh, I'm not a fountain person and I don't have landscaping and
I
marble
typically just flip
ice
to the
cubes.
crossword.
Well, there you go. That's a
Yeah.
really great time to do a crossword.
Yeah.
Jasmine, I'm curious, how did you get into cybersecurity?
My chapter talks about it a little bit. It was my third career choice. I wanted to be a statistician and was told that was going to be completely obsolete. And then I wanted to get a PhD in Russian, but I graduated from undergrad in 2010 when the economy was horrible.
Mhm.
So I got into grad school with no funding, and I was not going to take out loans for a PhD in Russian. And I kind of put myself through undergrad doing technology jobs. It was mostly database stuff, big data analysis. And so, graduating in a horrible job market, I landed in a help desk role and realized, as I moved closer to cloud native development and stuff, that was the direction I wanted to go.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think we all have different forays into tech and into security. I've been a marketer for a long time. I did take a stint of a break, and then came back into marketing. But I've only been in security for 6 years. So, Angela, like you, I still feel like a baby security person, just learning all the time.
Sure.
And so, part of that, right, is when you're entering tech, I feel like there's a lot of sentiments of imposter syndrome, is what people typically call, right?
Mhm.
Feelings of self doubt, lack of confidence, like you're just really always second guessing yourself, essentially. And so, I was curious, did either of you encounter those kind of feelings, call it imposter syndrome or not, when heading into tech as your third careers?
Jasmine, I'll let you go first.
I think yes and no. I feel like when I was in my early mid 20s and I was trying to get jobs in cyber, and I was being told by a lot of hiring managers, recruiters, that I was not qualified because I hadn't, worked with certain routers. And I feel like I had the opposite of imposter syndrome. I feel like I was like kind of infuriated that I felt I was more perhaps qualified than I was being recognized for. And then when I was running a security program in my last role, I think there was a lot of moments where I kind of, it's not really feeling like I was in over my head, but it was just a lot at times. And I would go and talk to peers and mentors. They'd be like, oh yeah, I have that same struggle every day. Like, I spend my life arguing over budget. And I'd be like, whoa, I'm doing fine. So maybe.
And so I had a bit of a different experience. I was already kind of involved in, well, by the time I got a job in cybersecurity, I was already involved in some networking groups, and like I'd put myself out there and made a conscious effort to like learn as much as I could outside of just the boot camp I was in. So I took a boot camp and didn't go to get another bachelor's because that seemed insane. And had the, I was lucky enough to have the professors and people in my cohort that like helped me gain some of that confidence, where anytime I voiced opinions of, do I need to just like go backwards and do IT stuff first, or I feel like I'm missing a piece of the required puzzle to work in this industry, and they were all like, no, you don't do it. And even I almost kind of did do it, and then they were like, don't do it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to you. And I took what I take as good advice, and continued that path and just kept like taking good advice. I guess it's a good thing I was never given bad advice to my knowledge, but kept taking the advice that was given to me by those who had already been in the field, and just was like, no, I can do it, because everybody's like backing me up and nobody's saying, no, you can't, no, you can't. So I'm very fortunate. So I always felt like, okay, I really pushed myself during the boot camp and like the year after to make sure, I'm doing my best as an entry level person in cyber. But after that, right, you kind of give yourself back some free time, just a little bit. And you want to like spend time with your friends and family and do things outside of work. And even though a lot of my passions resided around cybersecurity, I still took a little bit of a break. And so in that, and all the things that kind of go along with well-being and me time and all those things that we try to preach to, I think I could have studied more for certain aspects of my roles, or like spent more time on certain things, even though I would say no, like I'm just gonna like turn off the computer at 5 and like I need the time. So there are times where I felt like I could have done more myself to like be better at my job, or to get a cert faster, or whatever it was, but I never felt like I didn't belong. I always felt like maybe I wasn't prepared for something, and if I wasn't prepared, it was either because I didn't make the time to prepare, or I just needed to have a conversation with my manager about like, hey, how do I do this, because we don't have any templates or resources, or like no one's told me anything about it. So more like one or two of those scenarios.
Right. And I can say, as somebody who's hired and managed women, that women in entry-level security roles are some of the most self-aware people I've ever met, in terms of like they know their strengths or weaknesses, they know what they want to work on, like yeah, and that's really a fantastic thing, I think, from a leadership perspective.
You bring up something interesting too. Side note, I'm going down a rabbit hole already. It's early on. This notion of knowing yourself. Like, I think, Angela, what you were saying is you were making conscious decisions, right? To not to take care of yourself, right? Versus spending all that time and energy trying to ramp up technical knowledge and know-how and lingo. Excuse me. Sorry. I didn't know if my internet was tripping. But I think, and then Jasmine, with your comments of the self-awareness when you're going into a new role, I think that's really interesting, because honestly, before I read your chapter, Angela, I've always just felt like, yeah, this is imposter syndrome. I am not like, I have moments where I freak out before an episode, per usual. Like, I get nervous, right?
Yeah, sure.
And to be honest, it's not for lack of preparedness. If anything, like, I tend to over prepare, And it's really just finding different words for what's that?
It's just nerves. Your nerves.
Yeah, it's literally just nerves, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I don't belong in the podcasting world just because I listen to a lot of podcasting, and I'm just
Sure.
like, man, these people are amazing. They're very crisp and like they know what they want to say and they navigate their conversations really well. But yeah, I just think it's so interesting the different way you positioned imposter syndrome. So, for our audience listeners who have not read the chapter yet, or maybe you have and you just want a refresher, do you mind just giving a quick summary of your chapter?
Yeah, I don't mind. And I did want to add, right, I think another part of it is newness, being new.
Mm-hmm.
Being new to podcasting, you're still nervous. I do the same thing. I have a podcast, and I'm just like every time I'm like, this is a wreck. But it's still fun, so I keep doing it. But I agree, right? And you're new. If you're new on a team or you're new at a company, there's new nervousness, unknown nervousness that doesn't mean you don't belong there, right? So for those who haven't read it or want to read it, it is a summary, kind of on a critical. The summary is it's a critical look at imposter syndrome and kind of the underlying issues that may cause people to feel like they have imposter syndrome, or phenomenon as it was traditionally called. And not that, it's okay if that's what you want to call it, but just kind of taking a deeper look at why those conversations exist and how to combat those. If, right, someone comes to you and says, hey, I feel like I have imposter syndrome. Like, do you, or what do you feel about that? Some of the answers to potentially how to solve that question and maybe take a better look at why someone may be feeling that on your team or as a coworker or a friend.
Yeah, I think you mentioned an article from Harvard Business Review that kind of gave words to what you were feeling at the time and in the journey, right, of challenging the notion of imposter syndrome. So, do you mind just kind of giving a little bit of background on that for the folks?
Not at all, and I have it here because I can't memorize everything. So
that's perfectly okay.
So first of all, Jodi Anbury and Ruchika Tulshan wrote this article, and I mentioned this in the chapter, but basically, like, I blew up everybody's, phones and texts that I felt comfortable talking to this about in 2020, just being like, I can't take it anymore. It's not a syndrome. It's just a thing. And why is it called this? And where did it come from? And then I did some research, and a friend of mine, Adrian, and I were like, we got to give talks. We got to tell the people. But like nobody wanted to take our talk. We like applied to a couple of conferences to give talks, and no. But that's okay because now we have this. Anyway, this came out in 2021.
We'll come back to that in a second.
This came out in 2021, and I was like, finally, it's not just us. This is great. So they came out with the Harvard Business Review article that basically said, right, imposter syndrome has deep roots in, right, bias, and there's things in the background at work that you should look at, but it's also not just about white women, since a lot of the conferences and talks and presentations that you see about bias, just like white women, focused on fixing imposter syndrome for white women and how we can do that. There's so much more to it, and it applies to a lot of people, but that's their focus. And a little bit about it is, hold on, let me get to some of the, I don't know where to start. Hold on. I mean, you should definitely go read the article. You should go read the article.
I will link it here in the chat just for all of you who are on the line and want to take a look at it. I think this is, yes.
I'm going to keep talking.
So
kind of looking at both the article and your analysis, Angela, if bias is, really a heavy contributor, what is kind of the proposed solution? I know that's an easy question.
Can I go back to the first one because I found the part? So the first part is basically like, what's less explored is why imposter syndrome exists in the first place and what role workplace systems play in fostering and exacerbating it in women specifically. Okay. As we know it today, imposter syndrome blames individuals without accounting for the historical and cultural context that are foundational to how it manifests in both women of color and white women. So, instead of just trying to fix an individual, right, it's how can we fix or make the environment better. Another part is, and they had a follow-up article, which is, what do you do next? So we've talked about this issue and how do we figure it out, and how do we help people? While supporting your team members individually, it's important to take a both and approach to meeting their unique needs while also making the organizational shifts required to address imposter syndrome at its true source. Understanding the unique challenges faced by people who are different from them builds the manager's capacity to fully grow in their roles. And then also, it explains a little bit about gaslighting and when it comes to women of all races and people of color, of all genders, acknowledging imposter syndrome without naming its context within systems of racism and bias is arguably a form of gaslighting. So that's
Heavy topics, man. I mean, I think
a lot.
Yeah. So I wanted to circle back to what you originally said, which is like, why didn't people accept your talks?
Yep.
Right. Part of what I think is this trend, this cycle, right? First, people have to be aware that this thing exists, right? There needs to be substantial awareness that it's a common feeling of uncertainty, feeling like you're a fraud, feeling like you don't belong. That's a normal feeling. And then looking at, well, what's causing it, right? So at least, I mean, from personal experience, that's what you do in therapy too, right? Like you analyze what is triggering your feeling, and then how do you fix it, the situation. And so I found all of this like really interesting because it's not all just in your head. There are definite impacts of your workplace, whether you're conscious of it or not, that are contributing to how your employees and how your teammates perform and do their job, right? If you're consistently berating them and condescending, or like questioning them and like not standing with them in the foxhole to, push them and help them be successful, like those are some quick ways to start developing feelings of like a fraud, an imposter, right? In your teammates and in your employees. So with that being said, beyond naming the context, right? Like how does that actually manifest in a workplace? Like, have you been able to see it, name it, test some things in the workplace to kind of help bring this to light more?
I think until today, when the book got released, the biggest thing I did was reshare that article. I mean, literally, I was just like, hey, go read this. Hey. But, I think being inquisitive about it, and even if someone doesn't come out and say, I have imposter syndrome, just, if someone starts to doubt themselves, just being more inquisitive as to why. And get them to kind of come out of the hole and say, okay, let's look at why you're feeling this way. So I've tried to have those conversations with, people that I feel close enough with at work to talk about. I think I could do better in like being a leader on my team, as far as making people feel comfortable enough to talk to me about that kind of stuff if they see me as a person they want to tell. But also like giving my manager good feedback on how to do some of this stuff, because we do have that at my company for like, internal, provide your input every however many months or whatever. Giving that input and saying, hey, have you checked in with anybody on these topics? And, what kind of feedback are you getting? Like, because I don't feel like we talk about this as a team, and I think we should. So just trying to give some of that feedback and be open on my team to like be a person that's available to talk.
Nice.
I can take no credit for this, but I feel like Sunil is a good person who's done a good job of hiring good people. And I feel like I've noticed in really subtle ways that a lot of his, male team members behave in extremely anti-bias ways that I've never run into before in my career. Like, they are fastidious about making sure that Evie and I don't end up taking notes. Like, they're fastidious about not talking over women. Like, it is beautiful.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, Tyler, if you're watching this, I'm going to shout out to you again, because literally you're the best boss I've ever had.
Oh.
And And a lot of that is just having that relationship like this. I've been fortunate to have a lot of good bosses. Honolulu, if you're watching also, like I love working for you. Like really awesome bosses who have listened and take all my tears in my meetings and stuff, right? And like I have big feelings and they know I have big feelings and they kind of write it out with me. And I think creating that space, not that everybody has to be able to carry that load, right? Just putting that out there. But the fact that my bosses have been able to do that created a space for me to really get to the root of why am I feeling uncertain or why am I feeling like doubtful or anything like just nervous, right? About and anxious about whatever I'm doing. Which then gives space to, well, pointing out where things are going right and then instilling confidence in me, right? And so I think having that practice and that relationship, and I would say also with just like my teammates, right? Jasmine working with you, working with Melissa, Jenny, all of y'all on marketing team. Shout out to you, woo! But like just the culture in general at Jupiter One, I feel like is very much you find your tribe, you find your little pods of areas where you can support each other more than just on a technical like get stuff done, but really be able to talk about the hard stuff at work, right? Because reality is our lives outside of work and our lives at work will collide. It's you're one human being with a lot of facets. So
Unless you're a Gemini, I guess.
Oh man. Jasmine, I think in our prep call you had a question around impacting culture and doing some trial and error.
Oh yeah. So I this is a topic I'm pretty interested in. How can individual contributors create a healthier culture?
Individual contributors. I mean, okay, so I'm lucky enough to work at a gigantic company where we have groups within groups of groups where, right, we work on these things. And, you know, volunteering yourself to be a part of those teams that you feel passionate about and want to see change in is a big part of that for me. If you don't work at a company that has, right, employee resource groups and you want to start and you don't see something that, you know, you're like, why don't we have a group that is making, you know, change for, I don't know, an open culture or diversity or whatever it is, start it. Just ask to start it. You don't have to wait for someone else. And if someone says no or just doesn't really respond, start talking to other people about it. You know, impact in numbers is a thing. So the more people you get interested in it, then maybe someone will listen. They should listen to you the first time, but continue to talk and just share your opinion on, you know, what you want to see change and start doing it.
Yeah, I would say being at a startup, there's always like a million things to do. Like your backlog is like miles and miles long. But the things that are important to you, so like for me, woman in cybersecurity is important. Like I love being able to hear people learn. And anytime anybody's like, well, I don't know enough, I'm like, we all got to start somewhere. So, you know, just
Yep.
get in there. If you learn by writing or you learn by researching, like go with what works for you, right? And just finding, for me, it's like finding the pockets of where to find that influence and support people. You know, if I'll be honest, networking is something that's newer to me, right? When I was fresh out of college, networking was it to me it felt slimy because it felt like you're just talking to people just in case you need to go get a job or get referred somewhere or something like that, right? Like it didn't feel genuine. But I'm finding in these cybersecurity circles, there's a lot of genuine and authentic, like, hey, you're new here. Let me point you to some resources. Or here's a good person to talk to because they have similar background to you or something like that, right? Like there's always people who are willing to help point you in directions which can help. Because like tying it back full circle, Angela, to what you were saying earlier about having people in your network who are like, yeah, no, you're fine. You don't need to spend excess amounts of reading a whole bunch of technical textbooks, right?
Right.
To me, that's just, you got to find your little pockets and take the leap of faith. The worst thing that can happen is that somebody says no, right?
Networking is so important. That's the
Yeah.
only reason I'm here talking to you and have a chapter in this book. And all the things that I do right now are seriously a result of networking. I mean, I can only think of like 2 things in this career path that I have now that were because I decided to do it on my own without anyone else's help or like a conversation.
Do tell more.
I think
Oh,
Angela
go
and I have a similar approach to networking, which is that we tend to find small, healthy conferences and volunteer, which to
Yeah.
me, like I'm being productive, I'm making a difference, like I'm meeting people along the way. That feels way less slimy. And it's something I recommend to other introverts.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I'm getting into all this is because I'm on marketing, honestly, because I would not have known about all these events and all these people if I were not a marketer myself, like having to either plan for events or do social or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I took a really weird approach. And it depends on where you're at. It depends on where you're at in your journey. So when I started and knew nothing about cybersecurity, I would go to conferences and just like have money to go to the, like visit the booths. I couldn't even go to the presentations, but I just like got the expo pass and would just go listen to people talk to me about products, thinking that they're going to sell me something like I'm somebody something, which is funny. But it's like I learned and I was listening to people talk about their products and I was like, oh, I kind of understand that. And some of them I'd be like, I have no idea what they said. And just kept doing that. And so like the more I just put myself out there, the more I would, learn. But it didn't mean that I like didn't meet anyone of value.
Speaking of which, Sunil made me laugh until I almost cried last week because in a prior role, he was in charge of buying all cybersecurity technology for Bank of America. And I was like, man, with that budget, you probably got spoiled by vendors. You probably got taken out on yachts. And he's like, well, the problem with the yachts is there's nowhere to go. Like, you're just stuck there listening to their pitch.
Right.
Okay, note to self. Maybe that's a tactic that works.
I mean,
did he end up buying those vendors?
I'm sure probably some of them. But I feel like I need to try a couple yacht parties with vendors to see if I don't like it or not.
Yacht thing. There's a yacht thing here in Seattle this weekend. We'll talk about it later. Anyway.
Sorry. I also wonder at RSA, I mean, is anybody renting out a yacht and having a party?
Yes, this is the thing.
Really?
Apparently at Black Hat too, because this blew my mind. There's a giant lake 17 miles off the strip. And if you have a large enough budget, you're important enough, you don't actually go to the show. You go to the yachts.
Oh, okay. So we got to figure out how to network our way into those.
Party. If anybody's watching, you can just send us the details. We'll bring.
Indeed, I have a budget. I didn't say it was a large cybersecurity budget. I have a budget.
I have personal cash. I don't know. What do you want? Ashley, did you have a question about?
Oh, it was just a nonsense question, honestly. Okay. My question was, did you also create business cards so you can get into the raffles at all those expo booths?
Yes.
Oh,
I want some good stuff.
My husband also did that. I think he came to RSA with me maybe 4 years ago. And he was so excited to put his own little business card into all these different raffles for all the stuff that he wanted to get. I was like, oh, honey,
the emails,
how they choose the people who win these raffles. I think we'll just keep you hopeful for now.
The best thing I've won was $400 in Visa gift cards from a conference raffle.
Not bad.
And I'm sure I spent it on something super frivolous.
Did they actually do it as a raffle, like a true raffle, where they mixed it up and
must have, because I am certainly not important now, and
that's a lie.
Less so at the time.
Miss Field Security Director. Okay. Question. So you mentioned earlier, Angela, that you were podcasts and there's a bunch of things that you are in a part of now because of your networking.
Yeah.
And just being connected to people. So would you like to dig a little bit into that?
Yes. Thank you for asking. So where do I start? Oh, well, okay. So I have there's a human named Chloe Miss Doggy that I'm sure a lot of people listening know. And
humanitarian in security.
Chloe's amazing. I got involved in many things just by listening to Chloe talk and then being like, hey, I want to help out. Hey, so can I help? And so we've been working closely together with a lot of things, nonprofit organizations and women's groups.
That's brave.
We open
You
tech.
literally just raised your hand. That's
Yeah. She was like, hey, if there's not a chapter in your city, you want to start one, let me know. And I like messaged her immediately after. I was like, nothing's here, help. And so did that, and We Open Tech is a thing for underrepresented individuals and minorities that are, you know, trying to get into cybersecurity or just want to network more in that group, which is amazing. And then also, she started the Hacker Book Club, which I now moderate and run, which is my favorite thing, because it's just a good time. Non-recorded chat about cyber and tech and sci-fi books. It's a blast. We meet every two Tuesdays on Discord and just kick it. And then that turned into a podcast now. So I'll be interviewing authors of books we are reading and books we have read in the past. So those author conversations are separate from the Discord channel. Meg. And so that's really exciting and fun, and that's brand new. I also have the Focal Point podcast. We also have the Focal Point podcast, and these are under the ITSP Magazine channel, which is a great group of podcasts, and you know, tons of people running those. But Focal Point is more about people with diverse backgrounds in technology or that are doing something different. I started with diverse backgrounds, and now it's getting more into traditional backgrounds because I feel like that's less heard of than diverse backgrounds, because I had a liberal arts background, and then I kept talking to people who had, you know, similar backgrounds, and now I'm like, who even went to school for computer science that works in cybersecurity? Talk to me. So it's just really interesting stories of cybersecurity professionals and others in the tech industry, which is really fun, and they're all very interesting, and it's been a blast.
That's super cool. I mean, I think it's becoming a lot more normal now to have a meandering journey, right?
Exactly.
Which is always interesting to me. But yeah, if you are listening still here with us, ITSP Focal Point, I just shared a link on YouTube. Sorry, LinkedIn Restream doesn't let me share links directly with you. But just Google ITSP Focal Point, and it's the first hit up there. So check it out, give it a listen. And yeah. And if you want to, you know, if you know of anybody who would be great for those podcasts, definitely hit up Angela. I'm sure
I was
she'd
gonna
be.
say, if you want to be on there, let's talk. I just want to talk to people. Honestly, it's just me having conversations with people I want to learn more about. Like, tell me about your life. What's going on?
There's also going to be an opportunity to meet Angela and I in person in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We're doing a book signing at B-Side Seattle. Not quite sure what time, sometime during the day. And we will be giving copies of Reinventing Cybersecurity to all attendees. Thank you, Jupiter One.
Woot woot. That's exciting. And then there's just going to be so much more activity coming up, which we'll get to in a little bit at the end. But I think, what do you think now is a good segue into our game? Anything
ready.
else that we wanted to dissect before we get into the game?
I just want to say, happy to talk to anybody about my chapter. I'm super excited to hear everyone's perspective and feedback. Again, I am just one person with a view, but I felt like it was a good view that needed to be shared. So come at me with your comments and questions. I'm happy to answer and talk.
Love it.
Be nice. Yes.
Yes. So you'll like I said, we said earlier, you'll get a chance to talk to her at B-Side Seattle. RSA?
Yes.
Not RSA? Yes. RSA. Cool. So those are the two big ones that are coming up, that you are more than welcome to come up in person, or, you know, hit her up on social too. If you want to start the conversation on Twitter, go for it. And yeah, her chapter is a good one. So I definitely helped me shape how I think about imposter syndrome. So thank you for putting your voice out in the world.
Thanks for reading it.
All right. So for the game today, this is always my favorite part of I mean, I love the interviews, don't get me wrong, but I really love the game too. So today we're going to do 2 truths and a lie, so you can get to know a little bit more about each of us. And so what we'll do is we'll start with Angela. She will give us her 3 statements. Jasmine and I will have 60 seconds, which I'll just time on my phone, and pepper her with some questions to try and vet out which one is a lie, and then we'll figure out whether we're right or wrong. And then we'll move on to the next person. Jasmine. So, ready or not? Here we go.
Ready?
Go for it, Angela. Yes.
Okay. I'm the youngest of 4 children. First one. I have at least 10 hobbies at all times. One of them being, and the most recent being ham radio operator. And then the third one, I knocked out all my front teeth when I was 6. Baby teeth.
I think number 1.
The youngest of 4 children. Are you thinking that it's? Oh, I need to do the timer.
I'm thinking that's the lie.
Really?
Because I think I remember seeing somewhere on LinkedIn or something about ham radio, but maybe I'm imagining that.
Okay. Are there any questions we'd like to ask her specifically to confirm or deny?
I don't know how I could.
What are the ages of your siblings, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. 32, 45, 50, and 48.
Whoa, you really had to think about that one.
Yeah. It's tough.
What are your other 9 hobbies?
Oh my gosh. So future DJ, artist, obviously I have multi-art mediums that I enjoy. Gardening, boxing. There's a lot. It's just like I'm ADD.
Boxing.
Every week I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. I never complete any
What
of
do
them.
they call those people? Oh shoot. Poly something. Where you dabble in a lot of different things and you get like to a point where you feel like you've mastered it and you just move on to the next thing. I forgot what the word is. What's that?
It's called ADD.
Okay, and then you said the third one.
Yeah, the third one I said I knocked out all my baby teeth when I was 6. My front teeth, top front.
I can believe that. My 4-year-old niece almost did that on the playground. Sorry, Ma, if you're listening to this. You didn't need to know that one. Okay, I'm going to agree with Jasmine on this one. I think the first one is a lie.
You're good. I was like, wait, how old are they? My fake siblings? I don't know.
I don't know that I can remember the ages of my siblings. To be fair, there's a lot of us.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll get there.
I only have 2 siblings, so it's pretty easy for me.
I have one older sister, and we're 15 years apart. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that's a big gap. My older brother's 9 years older than me, so I hear you on that. Okay, Jasmine, would you like to go next with your 3 statements?
Okay, I am the oldest of 5 children with red hair. I tattooed my own fingers, and I've broken my nose twice.
Like how we're both like looking real close. Zoom in.
Well, this hand is not the one that I may or may not have tattooed.
I think it's the first one.
Okay. The 5 siblings?
Straight.
Oldest of 5.
Well, she said she had a lot of siblings, so I was expecting more like 8 siblings.
Okay.
Okay, what are the ages of your siblings?
So I think 31, 28, 26, 24.
Wow. Okay.
How did you break your nose?
Well, I mean, after you do it a couple times, it's really easy to do. But lacrosse.
That was gonna be okay. So lacrosse, really?
Yeah.
You played lacrosse?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Because she could be lying.
What?
I feel like maybe she only broke her nose once. Twice is a little bit of a stretch.
I think
or she may just have gotten punched in the nose and didn't actually break. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I was fighting an RSA. That actually was a thing that happened years ago, and I never like found out the details. I was like trying to eavesdrop, but like there was a fight in the business hall.
In the business hall? Not even at a bar, in the business hall?
It
Really,
was some
people?
like vendor drama, yeah. And I think it must have been 2017, 18
You can
maybe.
drink there, so it is a bar. What are your
True.
siblings' names?
Camille, Brent, Paul, and Aaron.
See, Jasmine's really good at like coming up with things on the spot. So I'm having a hard time reading her.
I don't know.
I'm
just
going to
gonna
say the broken nose is the lie.
You're right. I broke it 3 times.
It looks good.
Yeah.
I mean,
So look,
you should have
it's been
seen it
broken.
before. I don't know. Sue Bird, the women's basketball player, has to wear a shield over her face because she's broken her nose so many times. It's
Yeah.
just like tissue at this point.
Yeah. Wait, so you broke it 3 times playing lacrosse? Or how did you break them? Your nose?
Twice was lacrosse.
Oh,
Holy smokes.
wow.
You
Okay.
didn't have to wear face guards and helmets when I was, because I'm old enough that like I
Right.
think they
It wasn't a
instituted
thing
the
back then.
face guards,
Just
yeah,
run
like my
around.
senior year.
By the way, if you're watching Angela's screen, that is her cat, Miso Soup. And she's adorable. She's
Yeah,
adorable?
she.
She's adorable.
She puts
So.
up with a lot.
All right, my turn.
Your turn.
I went a music route. So, I love BTS. I took piano lessons for 14 years. I played the clarinet in middle school.
Okay, so it's either going to be number 1 or number 3, and I think it's number 3, because you might super love BTS, and it's like a trick question. But I think you play the clarinet in both middle and high school.
Yeah, name the BTS. What are their names?
Kim Taeyoung, Kim Seokjin, Kim Namjoon, Park Jimin, Min Yoongi, and Jung Jungkook. And oh my god, I'm missing one. Oh my gosh, Jung Ho-suk. Bestie, don't get mad at me. I forgot your bias.
So that one's
J-Hope.
true.
There's 7 of them.
She'll put calendar blocks of like buy BTS tickets. Yeah. Unless
There's
it's super love, it's
here.
true.
What was the second one?
The second was I took piano lessons for 14 years.
Okay, I'm gonna say the second one is false.
Final answers? The third one is the lie. So I actually played flute in middle school.
Flute.
Oh.
Yeah. I was a flautist.
Huh.
Flautist.
Yeah. I did want to learn clarinet, and then I tried. My best friend at the time, her clarinet, and I was like, this is too difficult. I feel like I'm going to blow my brains out. So I stuck with flute.
I think I went to the band director in middle school after tryouts, after I decided I didn't want to do it. And then I was like, I think I do want to do it. I think it is cool. And they like had me play like probably just a recorder. And they were like, no, it's too much.
That's
like, why would I choose a wind instrument? I don't know.
That's horrible.
Yeah. They were like, no, you missed your chance.
Hilarious.
Did you play anything? Like
I
percussion or?
played guitar and stuff
Oh.
like as an adult and throughout, but not, it's just like, why didn't I pick a stringed instrument? I don't know. I just was like, I want to play something.
I shouldn't laugh at stories of people discouraging children. It's not funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was my fault. Like, I shouldn't have just been like, oh, now I want to try.
You just whipped it up. Did you even practice for it?
No. I was like, no, they're like, we'll try to play this. And I'm like, I can't do that. Learning, right? No.
Hilarious. Well, thank you so much, Angela. It's been a blast having you on the show today. For all of you who are listening, go check out her chapter in the latest book, Reinventing Cybersecurity. Again, it is available on Amazon and on JupiterOne.com. And I'm just going to flash the URL real quick again for y'all, so you can go and download that. Anything else, Angela, that you'd love to share with our audience? Parting words?
Don't let anybody tell you you can't do anything. You deserve to be here and you belong.
Yes. You belong. All right. Thank you so much, Angela. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you both.
Take care.
Okay. Wow. So that has been an amazing, amazing interview. For all of you who are still here with us, our next episode is on May 17th. It is with Colleen Shane. Jasmine, who just dropped, will be also still hosting with me. And so stay tuned for another awesome episode and another chapter from the book. And I think that's pretty much all I got for you. So with that, I'm going to sign off. See you next